The body of my hat is now complete. From the top of my hat to the base of my hat is 9 inches, just like from the top of my head to the bottom of my ear is 9 inches. Okay. I can adjust the length of the hat, making more stitches if the head's larger, or fewer stitches if the head's smaller, like a young teenager. So this top section here adjusts according to however you measure the person's head that the hat is intended for. There's one other thing. When you come back around to your stitch marker on your last row, divide your stitches in 1/4 and do that many more stitches. The reason is it will put the seam of the hat in the back of the hat, because now we are going to be doing a 3-needle bind off across the top, and we want that to be side to side, again with the seam in the back of the hat. In my case, I had 92 stitches. 92 divided by 4 is going to give me 23 stitches that I'm going to knit extra in that darkest color so that my seam will be at the back of the hat. Okay. The next thing I need to do is just very carefully holding the thread on the needle so it doesn't come off. I'm going to turn my hat inside out. Okay. I'm going to pick up a DPN, a double-pointed needle, and I'm going to do a 3-needle bind off at the top of the hat. Now, I know that kind of sounds a little scary. Don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. I'm going to take my DPN, put it through the front of the first stitch on the front needle as though I'm knitting. Going to do the same thing on the first stitch in the back needle as if I'm knitting, and knit those 2 stitches off. I'm going to do the same thing with the second stitch on both needles, and I'm going to knit them off. Now I have 2 stitches on my DPN. Because I'm binding off now, I'm just going to take one of my needles that's attached to my circular needles, and I'm just going to cross the first stitch over the second stitch. And I'm going to continue this about halfway up the hat. Again, I'm just putting my needle in as if to knit. Indeed, I am knitting both of those stitches off. If the front one comes off, just take the needle through. Second stitch over the first stitch. Or depending on how you look at it, first stitch over the second one. Alright, knit the next pair off. Bind off. What you're going to find is when you bind off more and more of these stitches, you're going to have a situation with your circular needles where at some point you're going to have to move these stitches up a little bit and just leave a tail at the back. Alright, knit off 2 stitches at the same time from the back needle and the front needle. Cross over and bind off. Again, this is called a 2 needle, or a 3 needle rather, bind off. And every so often, just stop and kind of give that a little bit of a tug to straighten it out. It's actually looking pretty good right now. Back needle, front needle, bind off. And we're just going to continue that across the top of the hat. If this gets to be a little unwieldy, when you get down closer to the end, you can transfer the remaining stitches, divide them evenly, and transfer them onto DP ends to finish. That's your 3 needle bind off.